The Better Late Than Never news. Now here is Bill Tush and Tina Seldon.
I'm in a most pensive mood this morning, Tina. I've been thinking and thinking since yesterday early. Whatever happened to Yoko Ono? Whatever happened to Yoko Ono? I used to read her poetry.
Who cares?
Take a cloud and bury it in your garden and watch it grow. Yoko Ono's 64.
Is that it? That seems to be it. Thank you, Bill. We appreciate those words of wisdom. Weather forecast for the weekend: rain over the portions of the Pacific Northwest, turning to snow further inland across the Rockies into Montana. Rain from Louisiana and Mississippi, and in various other places. It will be very cold over the nation, including the Atlanta area. We have chance for snow flurries on Sunday, freezing rain on Saturday night, so prepare for a very cold weekend.
Pope John Paul II is shown here in a recent photograph doing push-ups. There's a new movie. It starts with the scene in which Los Angeles Dodgers shortstop Bill Russell hits Yankee star Reggie Jackson on the hip with the ball in a controversial 1978 World Series play. It's the opening shot of a 364 scenes depicting the Yankees' 6-game victory over Los Angeles in a movie covering the heroes and heroics of the Fall Classic. All the sports. There's actually more, but that's all we have time for. We'll be back with more after these brief...
And Chinese Vice Premier Deng Xiaoping is long gone from Atlanta, and less than 2 days after his arrival, First Person News has actual filmed footage of his visit.
You're kidding.
Deng was flown into Dobbins Air Force Base in Atlanta on Air Force One Thursday morning. He was welcomed by a crowd of freezing cold reporters, photographers, and dignitaries, among them Governor George Busby, you just saw, his wife Mary, and Atlanta Mayor Maynard Jackson. As the Vice Premier made his exit from the huge 707, a band struck up a military march, and Deng made his way to the welcoming delegation. Governor Busby delivered a chilly yet warm welcoming speech at the airport before Deng was escorted to the Peachtree Plaza Hotel. It was here that the Chinese leader saw the first protesters to demonstrate against his American visit. Several hundred demonstrators peacefully let their objections to Deng's visit be known, carrying signs and shouting out rather unflattering remarks. Congressman Larry McDonald denounced President Carter for inviting Deng to the U.S. and told the demonstrators, quote, he might as well make Adolf Hitler's birthday a national holiday. Inside, seen here, Deng was greeted by hundreds of community and business leaders. The Vice Premier was excited about the future industrial development of China and told his audience that the U.S. could help move his country from an underdeveloped nation to an industrial nation by the year 2000. Deng also wanted the American public to know he hopes for a peaceful solution to the world's problems. Vice Premier Deng spent Friday in Houston, Texas, which was the second day of his cross-country tour of American industry. After visiting NASA and a petroleum technology plant, he attended a barbecue and a rodeo last night. To you, Bill?
Not bad, huh? 2 days afterwards,
Not
and
too
we had
bad.
a film report.
Really?
Hey,
I'm impressed.
I can top that. That's not old. I can top.
What do you mean?
The Beatles arrived in New York City Friday afternoon. The Fab Four are in the U.S. to appear on this Sunday's Ed Sullivan Show and make a brief American tour. Upon their arrival, John, Paul, George, and Ringo held a news conference. Members of the press seemed to look at the English pop group in amazement. At some points during the Friday news conference, the long-haired musicians mimicked reporters, apparently displaying a rebellious attitude towards their elders. The Beatles currently have the #1 tune on top 40 music charts with I Wanna Hold Your Hand. Once again, they will be on the Ed Sullivan Show this coming Sunday night. Tina.
All right, Iranian Premier Shapur Bakhtiar said yesterday he extended an offer to accept opposition members into his cabinet and have open talks with his arch-enemy. But Ayatollah Khomeini ignored the offer and proceeded with preparations for establishing an alternate government. The vacationing Shah of Iran still has made no commitment on the triumphant return of Ayatollah. An aide says the Shah also has made no mention of his future plans.
shadow. Then came Sun Prairie, Wisconsin, and wake-up time for Jimmy the groundhog. Jimmy saw no shadow, and the hounds of spring appeared to be closing in. But then we went back to New York City, where groundhog watchers gathered at Queens Zoo in Flushing Meadow Park, watching for Pothole Pete, the Big Apple's new entry in this great American game. Well, at last report, the groundhog watchers were still watching Pete. He showed good sense this chilly day and remained inside his burrow. The real reason they have found why the groundhog comes out has nothing to do with winter. It's a male groundhog comes out and he's looking for a woman. That's
right?
the truth. That's the truth.
I would think you'd be looking for a female groundhog. We'll be right back.
Who cares?
Yeah, just as sweet as you please. To be alone with my color TV. And then it comes in and it breaks down my door. Well, it commenced to scream and shout, to grab my TV, and then it run out. Oh.
If you need help filling out your income tax returns this year, the Internal Revenue Service once again has set up its VITA program to help. VITA stands for Volunteer Income Tax Assistance, and locations will be set up at different areas around the metro Atlanta area.
Labor boss Leonard Woodcock, President Carter's designate to ambassador to China, says Communist China is interested in buying Lockheed planes and in doing business with other U.S. companies. Woodcock also said in Atlanta this week the U.S. has signed a letter of intent to sell a communication satellite system to China.
Rosalind Carter will appear before Senator Edward Kennedy's Health Subcommittee on Wednesday. It will be the first congressional testimony by a First Lady since Eleanor Roosevelt in 1945. Mrs. Carter will testify in her capacity as honorary chairperson of the President's Commission on Mental Health, which last year issued an exhaustive report on the state of mental health care in the United States. Mrs. Carter has made a specialty of studying this field and attempting to improve understanding and treatment of. By the way, we'd like to see you come by and say hello to us. Tina and I will be appearing at South DeKalb Mall here in Atlanta between 10 and noon later on this morning. So we're going to just grab a couple hours sleep and head on out there. That's between 10 and noon at South DeKalb Mall for a radiothon for the Leukemia Society, trying to raise some money. So come on by, say hello, and make a donation. 10 and noon. We'll be there, right?
That's right.
And we'd like to welcome some new cable viewers by satellite that are seeing us this morning in Baytown, Texas. A whole bunch of fine folks now get Channel 17 there. And right in the middle of New York, in Manhattan, 50,000 homes have joined Channel 17 via our satellite. And that 17 update early this morning. I'd like to welcome all the new folks aboard. Have a nice night, nice morning, and also a real nice weekend, and we'll see you at South DeKalb Mall.
Hey, you want to look at this picture some more?
Let's look at Alan Alda and Ellen Burstyn there.
This program has been pre-recorded. 17 update early in the morning has been refused by our armed forces overseas.